Hi, I'm Kent. I've been making a new batch of pots recently and I just pulled them out of the bisque fire, which means it's glazing time. So let's go ahead and glaze a bunch of pots and then we can load them up into the kiln to glaze fire. So I've got 3 of my big planters here. And then this was a 4th that was made using the same slip casting mold, but I pushed in the sides to make it more square shaped. This one here is the pot I made by joining together 2 smaller pots. So 2 of this kind over here are stacked top to top. And then I cut out what was the bottom is now the new top. This pot here is from my 3D printed mold. 2 of the square shaped ones that are smaller and shorter. And then a couple of pots from my older molds. So let's go ahead and glaze all of these. So these smaller pots here are relatively easy to glaze. I keep my glaze in tubs like this, and so I can just take the pot and dip it in if there's enough glaze in there. The other pots are too big. Either they're too tall or too wide, so they won't fit in my bucket. So just on the edge of the frame here, you can see a little metal tray I have. I'll use that to pour glaze over the pot and catch it there. So let me make some space and we can get started. All right, I picked out a few glazes that I'm going to use. It's been cold and rainy here in the middle of winter, so I'm going to pick out some nice warm colors. I think that will be a good change of pace. So I've got papaya here, dusk blue, apricot, and wisteria. And my first victims, or my first pots, are here. So I'm going to mix up one of these colors using my immersion blender here hiding off to the side, and do these first. So let's start with the wisteria. So these containers aren't very tall, so when I use my immersion blender, often the glaze will try and jump out. And to minimize splatters, I take a piece of paper towel, rip it a little bit, and I'll put the head of the immersion blender in there. All right, I like this immersion blender as well because I can disconnect the power head from the spinny part, so I don't have to worry about chopping my fingers. Drip that off, and then I have a tub of just clean water here. So one of the other tricks is to take all the dust off of the pot since it's been sitting around a little bit. That's accumulated a little bit. This also adds a little bit of moisture to the pot so it doesn't suck in quite as much glaze. Quick sponge down. And then since these are planters, they have holes in the bottom that I put in there, so I use my finger and just plug it up. And that will let me displace the glaze. Not quite enough. Okay, I still got a few bubbles in my glaze. I think I may let it sit for a second to get rid of those. Okay, so my next pot is way bigger than my tub. So here I used my tray. So this is an old glaze jar that I cut the bottom off of, and I'll use this as a support. Just like that. And I'll pour the glaze over the top. The reason I have the hole in it is because the glaze will pool up here and go down, and I don't want it getting caught between the pot. I want it to escape. So same thing, we'll do a quick wipe down. And then around the rim. Since these are planters, the insides will be unglazed. So I really only need to worry about the rim. And then I'll just pour the glaze on. So this is a new technique for me. I've tried it a few different times, but we're going to see how it works out. I'm going to sponge off the bottom so I don't care about messing this part up. So I'm just going to shake it a little bit to get some of the drips. I think this is dry enough to handle. Grab it. And I think I want to get the rim. All right, so I went around a second time to get the rim, and this looks pretty good to me. So the last pot I want to do in this color is this one here, and while I have the glaze sitting here in the tray, I think I'm going to go ahead and dip the rim. All right, that looks pretty good. So now I'll transfer all the glaze back into the tub and then pour it back out again. All right, same deal. Oh, not tall enough. Okay, don't have quite enough glaze, so did about half the pot. We'll do the other half in a second. Okay, there's the bottom. I'm gonna need to do the inside too, but I'm gonna do that off camera. All right, that is all mixed up. And go for a swim. All right, there's that one. Same drill. This one and this one are too big, so I'll pour the glaze on. Oh, I don't quite have enough of this one either. All right, so we did a mid-glaze refill. I think that's like the airplanes that refuel in air, something similar. Get the bulk of the glaze off while we're still pretty wet. And I'm guessing I won't have enough to do it in one pour, but we will try. Oh, we did. Just enough. All right, there's the initial clean. Do I want to dip the rim? Yeah, I think I do. I don't know how to get it back up. All right, so I've got a piece of wire here. So I'm just going to set it down. Now these are often tricky, so they'll fall. All right, cool. Got the rim better now. All right, and again, get my glaze back. Okay, the papaya is all mixed up. Running a little bit low on this one, so we'll see if I can get all three of these glazed or not. Oh, perfect. All right, so this rim has been sitting in the glaze for a very long time, so it's probably going to be very runny, but it's also at the very top of a very tall pot, so I'm not overly concerned. Oh, I missed a spot. I got glaze in there pretty good, so it's nice. My rim is covered. So here's my squared off round bowl. All right, some spots on the rim that didn't get covered. Got my finger. Got it again. All right, that's pretty good. So question for all you guys. What do you do when you run down to the bottom of your glaze and you don't get any more of the same color? So some of these I'm getting pretty low on. I'm not sure I'm going to get the same color. I keep trying different colors. But I'm not too sure what to do with the last little bits of the glaze, especially now that my pots are much bigger. All right, last one of this color. If I had two trays, it would be easy to dip a second color just for the rim. All right, that's it for these. While I have glaze in the pan, I'm going to go ahead and dip the rim of these two. This one has a little bit of blue mason stain slip cast into it. We'll see if it shows up at the end. Oops, got the side. I have to clean that off before I glaze it. All right, that way we don't have a big drip there. All right, and the very last one. All right, I really didn't have enough glaze for that one. But that is it. All right, that's the end of the glazing marathon. So we've got 3 pots in each of the 4 different colors. These are still a little bit damp, so I'm gonna let them fully dry. And then there are a few runs and drips and things like that that I want to try and catch and clean up a little bit. So there's a few drips, for instance, on the edges of these. And next stop for these will be the glaze firing. All right, here are all the pots out of the glaze firing. So let's start with here, the blues. Definitely very shiny, which is cool. There's a little bit of line here from when I dipped it the second time to cover the rim. This pot's very, very thin. I've been trying to slip cast some of my pots thicker, but I'm often impatient, so that doesn't always work out. This one here, I've had problems with this blue dripping before. I think this time I did a pretty good job cleaning it up. And the last one back here, I think it turned out pretty well. Last for the oranges, so this is one that we're actually seeing together two different slip castings to make this taller pot. There's a little bit of texture on this one, a little bit of bubbly. I'm not sure exactly what happened. So there's that one. That turned out well. I was a little bit worried about getting glaze on the rim. That worked out too. And the last one is hiding over here. Same deal. So the yellows hanging out over here. A nice application of the glaze on this one. And another one of these square ones. These are a little bit tricky to apply the glaze since I needed to get it on the sides, but I think the application worked out pretty well. And finally, all of the purples. This is a much more mottled color, so part of that's from when I was cleaning off the glaze, and it looks like I missed a little bit. But I think in general, it just shows through a lot more. One more. And then finally the bowl. That was a lot of pots. Here they all are, plus a couple of others that are in other videos. I think I can get a little bit better with my glaze application. I had fewer runs this time. I also was a little bit worried about some of them dripping down and getting stuck to the shelves. That also didn't happen, so I'll call that a win. And it's nice to have some nice, bright, warm colors here in the middle of winter. The next destination for all these pots, in case you're curious, is to be planted. I have a nice succulent garden that's growing larger and larger that's all been potted. Maybe sometime I'll do a video showing a bunch of those. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thanks.